Shalom. Welcome to the Messianic Hour with Rabbi Scott Sekulow. The Messianic Hour is a program designed to give you insight into the Jewish roots of your faith. Rabbi Scott is also here to answer your questions and help you gain a deeper understanding of Bible prophecy. And now, here's your host, Rabbi Scott Sekulow.
Shalom and welcome to the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. The show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. We're glad you're listening to us today and watching us. Also, you can watch us via our website at rabbiscott.com. You can also listen to the archive shows there, or also check it out on our YouTube channel, the Messianic Hour, all one word. And you can see this show and past shows as well. They're done into two segments right now, two 15-minute segments, so you can get the first half of the show, opening, and then segment one, and then the second half of the show. So we're glad you're with us. Check it out. Let us know. Tell your friends about it as well. It's a great opportunity to be able to put some faces to some voices.
Well, and you can also share it, put it on your Facebook page.
That's right.
You know, help share the word, help the word get out here. So feel free to post those on your Facebook page.
Speaking about Facebook, we have a new website, a new site for the Messianic Hour. So you need to, if you've signed up in the past, we need to get you onto that new one. So go ahead and re-sign up for it, and we'll be sending that information out as well. But friend us on Facebook as well.
So they're looking to find the Messianic Hour with Rabbi Scott as a group.
That's right. You know it better than I do.
Yes, I do. I wanted to clarify that. You're going to confuse a lot of people around there.
So I'm glad. That's why we have you here to help out. And it's been a great opportunity. Matter of fact, when most people are right now listening to the show, we're going to be in Israel. We'll be have just probably landed in the land when they listen on Sunday morning. And Saturdays we'll be heading on over there Sunday morning. So we'll be going to Israel, and it's going to be an exciting time. Our plan is for next week, at least half of the show will be from Israel. When we tell you what's going on there. Hopefully there won't be any war breaking out. There's definitely been some rumors of things happening, but we are praying for safety over there, and it's going to be a great time, and we're really looking forward to it. And if you haven't set up your trip yet, get ready for next year. We're going to be going back. We got a great time in store. We have some neat events. We'll be talking about it when we get back, but we want you to join us at the next one. We have over 54 people going on the trip to Israel, including Kim, who is our video producer. She'll be with us as well, so we'll be getting some great footage. We'll be bringing back that, and we're looking to post on Facebook as well. So we'll be having a lot of neat things going on while we're in the land. You can keep up to date with us on what's happening as it's going on.
And today we're going to be talking about Acts chapter 12, starting to set the stage for what's coming in the rest of the book of Acts.
It's really an interesting chapter. I mean,
it's very historical.
Very historical, but it's a lot of very important as we're going to see how it all comes together, as we're going to see the political life of what's taking place.
And then afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about Hanukkah, just a little bit about what it means and why you should celebrate it, tying in from the show last week. But we'll get much more in depth with Hanukkah when it gets closer to the time.
And if we have time remaining, I still want to talk to Judy about what's going on. We had President Obama this week and the French Prime Minister kind of make a major with open mics. We learn really quick here. You make sure the mic is off before you start talking. So we'll talk about that as well. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Messianic Hour.
Welcome back to the Messianic Hour. I'm Judy Sekulow, and I'm glad you're with us today. And one thing we did want to remind you is anytime you've got a question, we want you to email it at mail@rabbiscott.com or go to our website. Go to rabbiscott.com. We've got frequently asked questions in there. We've got a wealth of information, and we will be putting up a link for the new Facebook group that you said. So if you're hearing this and can't remember, you can go home or, get on your smartphone and find it and request to be added to the group, and we'll start making that more active also.
Right, and you can also sign up on our website to receive our newsletter. You get a free book, I Have a Friend Who's Jewish to You, and the prophecy card. Remember to download your apps for your iPhone and iPad. You Android users out there, it's coming. It's already in the works. We should be getting it up and running hopefully pretty soon, at least before the end of the year. We should have that set up as well, so you can download us right now on your Apple products and watch us and take us wherever you are. I was at a Support Israel rally, and a gentleman came up and said, I got you on my iPhone right now. So it was kind of cool.
So, Rabbi, we know that we're starting Acts chapter 12 today, and we're going to be meeting Herod Agrippa. Why don't you talk to us about him?
And it's really interesting. As Judy, I was really doing the study on it. He's a very fascinating leader. He was actually the first, quote, Jewish king that had been there for literally... go ahead.
Well, we should say, quote, unquote.
Quote, yes. I'm doing
king.
that. The video could see that, but I guess I need to say, quote, unquote. And since really dating back, I think it's to what? Herod the Great. I mean, before that even.
Well, he was the grandson.
He was the grandson of that, but I'm trying to remember who was the... I'll remember who I'm trying to think of earlier, but I'll keep on going. So
Please do.
But what's really interesting that we see here is his history, because this man knew how to play politics. He schmoozed people, he got things going, and he was really known as a Roman playboy, and he really had his life going, set up, even though he had gone through bankruptcy and all this, still was able to rise to power, but even at one point even went to jail. And what's interesting, while he was in jail, after he lost everything because of a comment he made, a man saw an image of an owl over his head and a robe, and he said, soon you'll be set free and you'll become king. And sure enough, this actually happened. So we're going to see his life as this kind of goes through and what happens, but he also told him that he was going to die, too, by that same vision of the owl.
The next time he ever saw an owl over his head, he was going to die in 5 days. So.
Does it come true? We're going to find out. So,
and actually, Josephus, this is the historian.
Historian.
Thank you.
This morning.
Historian Josephus recorded that incident also, so it can be found in the history books also.
That's right. So it's not just a folklore. This is something that we actually see taking place, written by the most famous of the historians, Josephus.
And we know that Agrippa actually helped work the political system to secure the throne for his successor, Claudius.
Right.
And as a reward for his efforts, Claudius abolished the procuratorship of Judea and added it to Agrippa's territory. And then we find that Agrippa is now king over all of Israel.
Right, and he was the time they had the first king in this situation. But as we said before, was he really Jewish? And that's really what the question is going to come down to. And so what we see here taking place, again, King Agrippa really proved that himself over and over again that he understood the political games and how to play it, and even got the Jewish community under his favor. And matter of fact, he went to great pains to show that he was a good Jew. He gave lavish gifts to the temple. He made sacrifices daily at the temple. He carefully kept the laws of Torah, at least in the public, quote unquote. I'm doing the quotes again here, but behind the scenes, he obviously wasn't doing that, and that's what's going to get him in trouble as we see towards the end. But he really made himself out to be the Jew of Jews.
Well, what's interesting, in rabbinic literature, he's actually praised as a worthy king of Israel, but really, he was a hypocrite. And
right, he loved Rome.
We have to remember that the Jewish people had really suffered under the governors like Pontius Pilate, who was a Hasmonean king. And so Agrippa was really a welcome relief to the Jewish people. And so even though he put on the show that he loved Torah, his greater love was really the pagan world of Rome.
Yeah, I mean, it says he spent days in the theater feasting with his appetite of the lights of the idols, loves of the games and the pleasures of the theater, loved watching chariot races and gladiator fights. He sent literally hundreds of men to their death with the gladiators for his own amusement. So while he was acting one way to the public, in reality he wasn't, which is also what shows us we can't hide our truth from the Lord. We can't be one way to public and be another way in reality, because eventually it's going to get to you.
And we see that in the beginning of Agrippa's rule over Judea, there was a drought in the land. And
which was predicted by the gentleman who told him that you would be set free. This is part of that as well, coming true.
And the 7th year, which was the Shemitah year, compounded the problem because the Torah forbids harvesting in this 7th year. So the people of Judea were really under dire straits because of this famine. And when the Feast of Sukkot came, as we've talked about, because we're coming off the Feast of Sukkot, you pray in the temple for rain. And it's interesting that you, as part of that process, the king is supposed to read.
Right.
And during this, he gets up, and they hand him the book, and he starts to read, and he gets to the place where it says, "Do not place a foreigner over you, one who is not a brother Israelite." And they said, here comes his crocodile tears, because he knows he's not a true Israelite.
Right.
And so he's crying, and he's so hurt over this, and that even though the masses assured him that he was a brother Israelite and therefore this kosher king, we know that the believers of the sect, the Way, was not following that.
Right, because in reality, as you said, he was a Hasmonean king. It came through his grandmother, and so he was more an Edomite more than Jewish. But they tried to legitimize him and make him that. But we know that the group, as you said, they didn't do it because they knew there was only one true king, had to come from the line of David, and that, of course, is our Messiah, Yeshua. So he couldn't be it. And so there was this bitterness that goes through that we're going to see take place as, again, he sees that being a hater of the Way helps with his popularity as a politician.
Well, and they were not going to stand up and say you're our brother, because he was a fraud. And as a result of their refusal to cast their allegiance to his crown, we read in the book of Acts, it was about this time that King Herod Agrippa arrested some who belonged to the assembly, intending to persecute them. Right.
So he was seeing that this worked. He 6 months later, just before the Passover, came Jacob, and he was brought before the king's court. He was found that going against him, and instead of trying to defend himself, he actually proclaimed the gospel, shared his faith about the true king of Israel, and was executed because of it. And then we see here that because of that, the Jewish community actually gave him even more favor. So he then arrested Peter and had plans to arrest the rest of them, probably to behead them the same way he did with the other, to get rid of them and to become more popular with the Jewish community.
And we know that this was right about the time of Passover, so obviously he decided to wait until Passover to do this, because Passover is a festival
of redemption. It's not a good thing to kill people on redemption time.
Right, and it was also it's a pilgrimage festival.
Right.
So there was probably a lot of people there, and he was smart. He wasn't going to want to get everybody incited just in case. He's playing that game again.
He was a great politician.
But what happens when Peter's in prison?
Well, he's in prison. He has 2 guards literally with him on either side. 4 guard units protected him. And all of a sudden, he is woken in the middle of the night by an angel who supernaturally takes him out of there. He thinks it's a dream, realizing the doors go open. He quickly gets his garments on. He's told to put your sandals on. It sounds like the Exodus. Quickly rise and leave. He gets out, goes to Miriam's house, knocks on the door. And it's funny because they don't think it's him. They think it's it's angel. They believe that the angel of the Lord of Peter could be there, but not Peter himself, which really blows me away. But then they realize he was there, and then he goes into hiding.
Well, and we see in the first 2 years of Agrippa's reign over Judea, he had really won the allegiance of the Jewish people. Now, in this 3rd year of his reign, he set out to impress the Roman world. So he went to Caesarea Maritime, and he made this big festival to Emperor Claudius. And what do we find out happened during this festival?
Well, they started calling him king, and not just king, but God. And next thing you know, God himself strikes him with a disease, which
that owl
worms.
Shows up.
Right, that owl shows up. That's true. And it shows in the historian. Again, the owl shows up. He knows his time is near. God strikes him with a disease. He is led away. 5 days later, he dies being eaten alive by worms. The scripture comes true. We see a great picture of what's taking place. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Messianic Hour.